We are live. Yay. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
We are having massive technical difficulties with Facebook and Zoom integration. So I'm probably going to need another week to figure out what's going on here, but we are live here on my business page. Sorry to our sisters that this is not going live in that group. I need to figure out a way to make that happen next week. But we're happy to be here with you again. And we're hoping we're going to bring you some value today, talking about the healing journey and specifically what happens when you get to the turning point in the journey and you decide, I cannot go back to the way things were, where you feel empowered and you're regularly speaking your truth and what kind of goes with that. Because there's some downside to it that I've talked about this week if you've been following me, and there's definitely a bigger plus side. So let's dive in around this idea that when you start this journey, you're going to meet some resistance as you start to speak your truth. But that resistance, I almost see it as kind of a test. And tell me what you think about this, Kristin, as you're stepping into your power and you're finding your voice. How do you approach the resistance that you're getting from other people and some that you're feeling inside?
I think it's one of those things where the old programming, of course, your history creeps in there, and you start to have the fear. And I know for me, it's internal. It's this feeling I get inside. Sometimes I get very warm. It's like, oh, here we go. I'm not ready.
Sensations in the body are huge.
Yes, it's like I'm not ready, but I know this is the right thing. It's one of those. Hopefully, as you do this, you realize that not doing it feels worse than doing it. And so I know it's like, okay, just speak, just start, because once you start, you'll relax and it'll be good. It'll be good. Whatever it is, it'll be good. So yeah, for me, it's definitely my old programming gets in there. I start to get nerves. The brain goes to all the ways it's going to go wrong, all the things that are not going to be right. But then the other piece kicks in. It's like, okay, but I need to do this because I can't go back. I can't go back to how I was before.
Yeah. And when we talk about going back to the way things before, this is when we're talking about going back to not speaking your truth, to
Mhm.
holding back. Usually when you get those feelings like Kristen's talking about, and usually they're in your body, like you'll feel it in your chest or your guts. You just feel tense. You know you need to say something, but for whatever reason, you can't muster up the courage to do it. That is before you get to the turning point. And I think as you're on the journey and you're starting, there's going to be a lot of that meeting with that point of resistance where you may not speak your truth. It takes practice.
It's the battle, because it's that internal battle with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's scary. It's scary. The fear of the unknown is such a huge component for we humans. And I think especially for those of us who did hold back, for most of our lives, where we've just wanted to keep the peace or didn't want to make waves or whatever, all the reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is what makes it tougher, because it's
Yeah.
like, I always feel like, those old cartoons where you have like the devil and angel on your shoulder. It's
Yeah.
it's that it's like, and it's difficult because it's uncomfortable. It's that, again, that uncomfortableness. But we get to the place where being uncomfortable in that situation is less um, disconcerting than the thought of going back to not speaking up and not having a voice and not sharing, and hopefully you've had experiences where when you do speak up, it's actually people have surprised you.
Yeah.
And we have this narrative that we tell ourselves, of how it's going to be or how they're going to respond, or they're going to hate me, or whatever it is you feel. And I have had so many occasions where they've surprised me, and
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And then even if the reaction isn't great to begin with, usually when you go away and then you come back, they always respect you more, because even if they don't agree or even if they don't like it, they can respect the fact that you are speaking your truth. You're saying what you really feel. And if
Mm-hmm.
somebody really, is in your life because they want to be in your life, they want you to be yourself. They want you to be happy. They want you to be able to be expressive. Relationships are two ways. And when you don't speak and you hold back, you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah. And you're basically telling them too that it's okay for them not to speak their truth. I mean, it's kind of this collective walking on eggshells is kind of
Yeah.
how I think of
Yes.
it. And I mean,
Yeah.
and we all know people in our lives where we do that, where we both feel like, I'm not really expressing my full truth. I know you're not either. And we've created this weird dynamic where now neither of us can show up authentically.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
stressful.
It's
It's really
very
stressful.
stressful.
So I think a lot of people can resonate with that feeling of, wanting to be able to speak up, but still don't feel confident doing it.
Right.
And taking those baby steps is kind of what we're going to talk about today, as far as being able to really hit that turning point, because you're not automatically going to just start spouting your truth everywhere with everyone immediately.
No, no.
I mean, I like to think you kind of start with the people you feel safest with, where you maybe feel you'll be less judged. Because let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest, we're all
Mm-hmm.
worried about judgment,
Right. Right.
that they're not going to like me if I say this, or they're going to judge me for it,
Mm-hmm.
or see me differently, which are all valid things to feel because these come up. So there
Yeah.
is going to be resistance. You may say things and people are going to be like, uh-uh,
Yeah.
like that's not the person I know. But the beauty is it gets easier and easier and easier the more you have these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk about a couple of the ways we kind of get in our way as we go down this road of speaking our truth. Some ways we can kind of think we're speaking our truth, but we're really taking like one step forward, two steps back. And that's the first one I like to talk about is we start apologizing.
Mm.
We start apologizing for speaking our truth pretty much right away because we're gauging how the other person is reacting.
Yes. Yes.
They're
You
either
walk
in
into
their
the
body. Yeah.
conversation that way.
We see body language, or they're literally telling us something we don't want to hear. And then we get in that kind of almost like a fight or flight. We're like, oh, like, do I stand my ground or do I start apologizing and I start taking back the truth I just spoke? And it's a real thing that happens because you're you're in this really strange place between what you actually want and what you feel you need to project because you're still not quite there. You're like, oh, I just said it, but like, I don't like the response I'm getting. So now it's like, I'm speaking my truth, but I'm taking it back.
Yeah.
So you could not quite be there, not
Yes.
quite be ready.
Yes.
And it's like, I just want to warn people that as this happens, as you go down this path, don't be ashamed of this happening because we want to default back to what we know and create safety, right?
Well, and you feel, like that I think, especially if you're the kind of person that is a fixer or wants everyone to be happy, wants everything to be comfortable. And, so many of us are not comfortable with conflict, and so that's that piece. And so often we see, like you said, you see a body language or you see, and so you immediately want to fix that and
Fix
make it
it.
better, and the silence is hard, where you
Yeah.
just let it lie. That is very hard, and that takes practice.
I mean, I had a struggle with that this week with someone where I was just watching their body language as I was talking and thinking like I'm trying to make a story about what they're thinking about what I'm saying and
Oh, we
catching
do. We don't
myself.
try to make a story. We make a
We're
story. We come
making
up
it
with a
as like
whole thing.
she doesn't like what she's hearing. Like she's judging me right now. Like she
Yeah.
thinks I'm crazy. Like all the thoughts we
All
have.
the things. Yes.
But if we can learn to catch ourselves in that and be like, you know what that person's processing, thinking, telling me doesn't have anything to do with me.
Mhm.
It's some reaction I've triggered in them. And it has a lot more to do with what's going on for them than what I'm actually saying or telling them.
And that's so hard to stop yourself and realize and think about. It takes a while to get to that. Like if we just have to keep reminding ourselves, it's not about me, it's not about me, it's not about me.
Yeah. And like in circle last night, weren't we talking about this idea? Like so many
Yeah.
people want to make everything about them and can find a way to turn any conversation into something about them, like bring it back to me. And that's somewhat human nature, unfortunately.
Mhm. I was gonna say, yeah, human.
Um, so I think the words of encouragement here with this one and the apologizing is realizing you're not really doing anyone a service by apologizing because you're disempowering yourself for one. You're taking back what authentically you want to be saying. And the other side is like people aren't getting to experience the real you. Like they're taking you out of your power. And that can be a really crappy feeling if that's the pattern you keep repeating.
Keep going to. Yeah, if that's that if that becomes your new default. Well, I'm starting to speak up, but then I'm
But
saying I'm sorry. Is it, but so it sends a mixed message. It confuses people. And so then, they end up ignoring what you said and just believing what you used to be. And then
yeah.
you get frustrated because like I've changed, see? It's like, yeah, but you
Mm,
didn't because you took it back.
yeah.
The I'm sorry is taking it back. The apologizing is taking it back.
Yeah. It's a tricky place to be
It's
in.
hard. It's hard.
Um, but I feel like I keep going back to this idea that if you're apologizing for who you are. And you're upholding the old status quo for them. Like the expectation is you're always who you've been, which hasn't been yourself. So it's like this vicious cycle where you have to start to break away from
Yeah.
that person that the other person believes you to be. And it does take
Yeah.
some explaining sometimes with certain people, especially we talked about, I think last week, the longer you're in relationships, the longer that process can be to kind of acclimate them to the new you or the fully empowered version of you, like showing up authentically.
It's an unraveling of who I was or who I projected myself to be. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's almost like that feeling of lying to someone. And like if you really think about it, when you're not speaking speaking your truth, you are, in a sense, you've been lying to them all along because you've only let them see a piece of you or half of you
Or
you
none of
know,
you.
or none. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think about people who have real identity crises, like around, like, I think I've mentioned the workplace persona versus the personal persona, because that one shows up a lot. Like,
That's a
I don't
huge one.
know how to be just me. I feel like I need to be another version of myself at work versus at home. And we do this with individuals too, especially if we feel like they're super judgy or don't accept us for who we are. It's like it
Yeah.
takes a lot of work for us to be this other person for them. And we're basically saying, stop. Who is that serving?
No one. No one. And it
I
just
mean,
works you really hard. It works
yeah,
you hard.
it's like really evaluating too which relationships in your life are really serving your highest self,
Mhm.
the ones you can really feel like you are you and not
Well, and if you
that
evaluate,
projection.
speaking of your relationships, yeah, like who's in your life, if you look around and you realize, I don't really like any of these people, then it's a good indication that maybe you haven't been 100% yourself. So you have attracted these personalities or these people to you that you don't even want to be around.
Yeah. I know so many women that have done this and have had very candid conversations with me about how they don't even like the people in their friend circle.
Yes. Oh,
Like
it's so sad. It's
it's
true.
either they're friends because they've always been friends and like the history is the piece they're clinging on to, or
Hmm.
it's I felt like I needed to be accepted and I didn't want to feel alone. So you kind of just play this game. You find enough you have in common with people where you're like,
Right.
okay, I can like tolerate them. But if you really thought about it, And I've asked this question to people. I'm like, are there people in your life that you literally, if you really think about it, that you would really be friends with if you were 100% true to yourself?
Mhm.
I can guarantee most of us have at least one, if not more, where we would be like, we wouldn't be friends.
No.
And as you go through this process, you may start to shed some of these friends, these quote unquote friends, or these relationships that you now know aren't serving you. And it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. It's like that permission piece again. It's okay.
Hmm.
I always remind myself and other people that some relationships are for a season.
Yes. Yes.
Not all relationships were meant to last forever. And I know there are some people that very much live in that camp of, I play for keeps kind of idea. Like,
Hmm.
you will be my
Hmm.
friend forever, like so loyal, but never really look at if the relationship's working for them or the other person. And it should be
Because
mutually beneficial, right?
exactly, it's
Getting
supposed to
something
be a
out of this.
two-way street. Yes, it's supposed to
Mhm.
be. And if it's not, is it worth pursuing? Yeah, definitely. The seasons are a big. I remember coming to that realization, even just in life, and sometimes you get frustrated if you're a kind of person who has like a lot of dreams and a lot of goals and a lot of things you want to do, and there are certain seasons that you just can't. Like if you have very young children, there's things you can't do, and that's okay because it's just a season. But we don't give ourselves a slack on that, or even to realize that, okay, wait, so this is just a short period of time. So same thing with people. When people come into your life, um, they're there, they bring you something. There's always lessons you can learn. Doesn't mean you have to stay with it if it's not working anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say, as we're wrapping up this little section on talking about apologizing, gauge in your relationships. Is there any you're showing up and you're feeling like you're constantly apologizing for being
Hmm.
who you are? Or
Yes.
you're feeling like you're having to mold or project a different version of yourself to be accepted? Because I think
Mhm.
like that's really what we all want, right? We want to be loved, accepted, um, feel like we have people that have our back and that get us.
Yeah.
And if you don't let them
Or
get you because you're never you, I mean, there's going to be some shedding that takes place.
as I say, if you don't do that, you're going to be very lonely because we humans are built for community. And if you continue to stay in relationships and surround yourself with people that aren't serving you too, like it's not a give and take or it's not something you're enjoying, it becomes very lonely.
Yeah, it does.
You can have a ton of friends and be all alone.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So, no apologies. When you speak your
No
truth,
apology.
speak it. Don't take it back.
And just stop yourself. Stop yourself. Just say it and leave it. That's the
there,
hardest thing.
yeah, and there's a quote, and I always mess up who said this, but I always go back to this quote: people who mind don't matter, people who matter don't mind. So,
It's a
really
good one.
consider if you're getting a bad reaction to you speaking your truth, does that person really matter? Because people
Yeah,
that do don't mind when you speak your truth,
exactly.
right? So
Good point.
that's the first thing that may happen as you start to speak your truth. Second thing, and this is a big one, and I see this in a lot of people because this is again one of our autopilot behaviors, is that we get really defensive. Um, and women get defensive too. It's like I feel like it's one of those things we like to push off on men a lot. Like, men are so defensive. Men hate being wrong. You know what? Women do too.
Women do too.
Women
Yes.
do too. So if you meet enough resistance, and this is really in the cases where you're being met with like words in return to your truth that really like trigger you in some way, like they start refuting everything you've just said, your initial instinct may be to jump on the defense. Nope, you don't understand. Nope, that was who I was, like all these things,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
getting hostile.
Yes.
So what I wanted to encourage people today was take a look at how you respond when you're met with resistance. In general, for one, do you tend to jump on the defense or even offense? I like to say, because some people just go like ballistic,
Yes.
can't take any words that may be considered critique or criticism, feedback, however you want to label it. Is it your natural tendency to jump on the defense? Protect yourself, which we're not saying is a bad or shameful thing. It's a human instinct. We want to protect ourselves. But as you start to speak your truth, does this same tendency show up? Because now you're saying things that you've maybe been walking on eggshells about for a very long time. And it's very likely with certain people you will meet resistance. How do you want to handle it? Jump to autopilot? Or what is this thing we are always talking about on this podcast? The pause.
The pause.
The pause. I mean, you can pull this out in so many instances, scenarios in your life. Can you take a pause as those emotions are stirring in you?
Coming
again,
up.
I feel like this is very visceral, like this is happening in your body. Like you can almost feel it in your throat, right? Where you're like, and your heart is probably elevating because you're like, oh, you're not liking what you're hearing. Can you pause? Can you pause? Because I feel like in these moments, there's a reason you're having a reaction. There's a reason you're being triggered. And being able to really look at that and go, okay, what is this saying about me that I'm having this response?
Where's this coming from? Why is it so strong?
Yeah. Why am I having this reaction?
Yeah.
Using all those why questions.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel like I need to defend myself? You don't owe anyone an explanation for being you. Although we tend to jump to that conclusion.
I feel like if we can make them understand, like if I can just explain enough, they'll understand and they'll get it. Like, not always.
No, not always. I mean, it would be nice.
Be nice.
But I don't feel like over explaining your truth is necessarily the answer there.
And not necessary. It's not necessary. We think it is, but it's not.
No. So when you think about getting defensive, you take your pause, you're asking yourself the questions. And I mean, this doesn't have to be a long process because I think some people also think, oh, this is going to be like awkward. Like you're just going to be silently staring at this other person as you're having these thoughts. It doesn't take that long. Just like breathe into it and be like, what's going on for me here? My next step that I like to do and that I tell other women to try out, especially if you've never tried this, is instead of reacting or jumping on the defense like you may normally, get curious. Get curious with the other person. Try to understand where they're coming from because they're just trying to process what they're hearing.
And they also are having a physical response.
Yeah.
They could be being defensive or offensive or
but
so get curious. Yeah, ask the question.
Can you get curious and shift the dynamic of the conversation? Always like the question or start with the statement, I'm really interested in learning more about that. Like tell me more about, whatever it is they're saying. So you can understand their perspective. Because you may be hearing one thing and they mean another. Like there's lots of things that could be going on. But I feel like if you can create that open dialogue where you're coming at it from curiosity rather than judgment or criticism, it can be such a powerful way to even improve that relationship.
Yeah.
And you may surprise them.
Yes, I think it will surprise them, especially if your autopilot, your normal response with them has been the opposite. But as you were speaking, and I was thinking that's the piece that we want them to hear us, and we want them to respect our being us and speaking our truth. We also, when we go into these conversations, there has to be that piece where we have to remember to also offer the same to them. And I think that's partially why we react and all, because we're trying to speak our truth and we're trying to get it out there, forgetting that this is new information. This is, we have to respect their need to process that as well.
Mhm.
And so that curiosity piece is, if we can always go at it with that, it definitely helps our perspective to remember that, and to make the conversation a more give and take, and
Yeah.
allowing each other to process what's happening.
Well, and I think when you choose to, embark on this journey, I almost think you give yourself the power to kind of be the catalyst for other people, because they're not at the same place as you a lot of the time. And they're not going to understand even what you're doing or how you're developing this courage and you're finally able to say all these things. Like, it's almost jarring for some people.
Yeah.
And you can help be a catalyst to them and create this kind of dance. Like, you can ask them questions. Like, how can I help you understand where I'm coming from more? Like, we're kind of imparting tools on other people. I always like to think too. They're noticing the shift, and they're while they may meet us with resistance, they're also going, okay, this is
Curious
different.
about this. Yeah,
Yeah.
their curiosity is piqued.
Yeah. And I feel like this is where we can have a greater impact on other people too. Um, Not necessarily like we're going to get preachy and be like, you need to heal. There's so much trauma. That's clearly why you're showing up the way you are. And it's like, yeah, we know these things as we committed to healing and really looking at ourselves. We know the work that a lot of the people in our lives need to do, but at the same time, it's not our work to do for them. We can only lead by example, I think. And they might go, this is kind of a different way of being.
Yeah, exactly. If you get all preachy, they're not gonna take it anyway. So
Yeah. So be a support system to other people and avoid apologizing and avoid jumping on the defense. It's going to save you so much heartache too in the process, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's going to allow you to keep having these quote unquote difficult conversations or uncomfortable conversations. It gets easier. And that's when you really get to that turning point. It's like, I can't see another way of being. And all the people in your life eventually know that. It's your evolution.
And they're gonna see the change in you, and whether they like it or they don't, they're gonna see it, and they're gonna, on a certain level, have a respect for it. And you will find, like, I know one of the biggest byproducts for me, there was a calmness. There's just a calmness that has come over my soul and my life because I am being true to myself. And you don't realize how much anxiety and stress that puts on your body
Yeah.
and all of your life, all the different things. So there's just, the more you do it, the calmer you'll be. And then you'll also be able to, the byproduct is you'll be able to take the pauses, and you'll be able to have the curiosity and all of that as well. So it's a
Or
round.
break away if you're like, this isn't working. This
Yeah.
doesn't
Sometimes.
serve me anymore.
Yeah.
But I love that, thinking of the calmness that comes with it, because I almost think of
Mhm.
it like we were almost a nuclear reactor prior to this, like
Yeah.
waiting to go off.
Yes.
And it's like we flip the switch and it's like, okay, I'm like, the reactivity side just really starts to dissolve.
Diminish. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're like, I don't need to do that anymore. I'm not trying to defend anything. Like, I want people to accept me for who I am. And I'm no longer willing to play the game
Mhm.
to be accepted and loved.
Yeah.
The
Because
people that,
bottom line is you can't force that anyway. So
no. So be who you are.
Yeah.
Know that it's fine to have feelings of unrest and nervousness.
Uncomfortableness.
Yeah, because it's going to happen. But we keep talking about this muscle of confidence and courage you're building as you take these steps. It's going to get easier and easier and easier. And I kind of wanted to go for full circle for the end of this episode and really just talk about how we can really be that catalyst for other women that either want to be on this journey or are at that point where the way they've been showing up really hasn't served them. They know it, they don't know where to start. How can we enable them to see what is possible? Can we be a force for greater good almost? Sounds
Yeah.
like a lot, right? Like we're going to impact the world. But that's really what we're talking about here. I think everyone at their core wants to serve people in some way,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether you admit it or not.
Want to make the world a better place. I think most people have that, even in
Well,
just their small world.
yeah, and you think about your relationships and the people you really care about that you would do anything for.
Mm-hmm.
What a gift would this be to help them realize? So what force of good can you be in the people around you?
Yeah.
The people you're
Yeah.
close with, the people you encounter. What could anyone listening to this that's like, yes, I know people in my life that they need to be in this work. Like, where could they start? What do you think?
Yeah. Where could they start on this journey with a
Mhm.
small step? I think it's one is taking time to think about what you really want and who you really are and who you want to show up in the world as. I think so often we don't take that time to even know. And then it's just at the smallest thing, pick one person like you've been encouraging this week. Just pick one person and have a courageous conversation. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be big, something small,
Yeah.
but start showing up as you. Give them the benefit of seeing all of you, not just the piece that you think they'll accept.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know how it's all going to land. We can't predict, but just in the act of doing that, I mean, that's showing immense courage
Mhm.
and is a step in the right direction.
Yep.
And I like to think too, if like you know someone in your life that could really benefit from doing some of this work, really uncovering what's going on in their psyche, what from their past has been holding them back. Because we talked a lot about,
Mhm.
how these patterns and conditioning really got developed a long time ago. How we can support other people that we know need it and being
Holding
really
space for them.
Mhm.
Yeah, holding space for them, encouraging them to speak their truth and to be who they are. I think that's the other thing is creating a space where they can be comfortable
Yeah,
being who they are as well.
making sure we are holding a space of non-judgment
Mhm.
and trust and really being able to maybe point things out to people that we see that maybe we wouldn't have in the past. I think that's also part of the courage we develop. Like we're able to say things, I don't want to say about other people, but we can observe things in people close to us that we want to tell them about, like things we're concerned about, or, I feel like you're not showing up how you want. How can I support you in feeling like you can? Because even you may even notice that in your direct relationship. I feel like
Yeah,
you're not showing up as yourself.
yeah. I've noticed
We,
you're holding back
yeah,
in
we
some
sense
way.
things.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We sense as women, we are far more intuitive than we even realize. and we know when something's not right. And a lot of times we'll ignore it. I'd be like, not going to have that conversation. Or maybe they
We
won't,
feel like we don't want to make them feel uncomfortable.
yeah, they won't feel
Like,
comfortable.
it's there. Just go with it.
And they can always tell you, nope, don't
Yeah.
want to go there right now.
Exactly.
Perfectly acceptable response.
Yep.
But I think
Yep.
the more you show that you care and this isn't digging, because some people be like, well, that's like digging or like trying to open a wound if it's something that you perceive to be a wound. It's like, how can you gently show that you're there for support and help them work through it? Because the community piece, and why we say we do what we do, the community side is so important. Feeling like you have other people that are supporting you in your growth and helping you get unstuck, because it's so much harder to, grow and develop and learn when you're doing it all on your own.
Definitely.
So bring other women with you.
With you. Yes. Encourage that.
That's
Encourage it.
really my parting words. It's like, what one woman can you think of right now that could really use your support, the support of another woman who is speaking her truth unapologetically, without defense, like has evolved? How can you help someone else evolve to your level?
Encourage that first step.
And give them a safe space to explore.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The whole thing is I feel like a constant exploration. We evolve and we keep evolving.
That's the hope. You continue to grow.
Yeah.
Grow and become more of who you're supposed to be or who you want to be.
There you go. Perfect parting words. Keep growing, keep learning, keep evolving.
Keep working that muscle.
Yeah. I'm like, and identify where you're getting in your own way right now still, and keep working at it, because it's a process.
Daily. It's a daily thing.
I said, just take those pauses, really ask yourself the questions, and get into action more. Just do the one thing each and every day.
You can do it. We believe in you.
You can do it. We believe in you, and we want to know how it goes. Do you have
Yes, please let us know.
life? Tell us you're going to go talk to someone and make a difference in their life, and tell us that you're done apologizing and you're done being defensive, like you're ready to fully step into your power, because that's really what this is all about. Being unapologetically you and not caring what other people think. So be bold, and we will see you next week.
Sounds good.